Okay, so welcome to this beginning of the session. Will require a little bit of coordination with the movement base of the front and the frequency of direction in your back body. So since we're starting with a mild inverted pattern for the pelvis, you might find this movement is kind of interesting for the back of the pelvis and that transition of stretch into your hips and your hamstrings. So we're going to kind of play with the pattern to start, and then we'll go into some slower kind of progressive openings, chest openers, and then the beginning will really blend our chest openers with our hip openers. So let's start with sitting in front of our bolster. You're going to lean back with a little bit of space, itty bitty space here. So when I slide my back of my waist onto the bolster, I'm going to scoot my feet in. I'm going to look around and make sure my props are nearby, especially my sandbag. And that seems to be the essential for right now. So sandbag is an easy reach. Okay, lift up the hips, feet a little wider than hips distance to help yourself press the hips up. Ensure that the block is low level, no matter how intermediate you feel like you are. So it's a low level, so the height ratio is gradually lifting up at the ribs and then lower down your head to your blankets and assess the sensation of support around the tailbone. So you want to feel like when you bring a knee in, that you actually create kind of an awareness at the tail level, okay? So what we'll start with is a movement frequency through the structure, kind of the nerves, right, the nerve sensations. So you're gonna reach for your belt overhead, and I want you to hold on to the width of the belt so that it feels expansive. So that would mean a little wider than shoulder width, maybe generous enough that when you hold the belt, you feel a widening at the ribs and a relaxation in the belly, the lower belly. Now, of course, that will all change in a moment, but right now, feel your feet hips distance apart. And then as you bring the right foot up off the floor, I want you to also move your arms holding your belt towards the ceiling, and you're going to draw the right knee up and see if you can get the belt and the leg to touch. Okay, so as we move the right leg down, the belt back overhead, you're going to alternate to the left leg moving up, but feeling the coordination with your back supported by your props. That includes your brain. Everything that you would point to as your back. So start to alternate the movement of the back muscles coordinating with the front muscles. Not likely to feel like a stretch experience, but a coordination and some muscular value for your midsection. So follow with me for a few more of these each side. So I try to compute with the inhale when I reach my arms back. Inhale, exhale, feel the knee drawing in. And last time on each side, try to move the leg up and feel the brain back on the blanket. So you make sure that your arms are doing the motion for the shoulders and the spine. The leg does the movement, change sides for the spine, and the arms do the movement for the shoulders and the upper body. That makes relative sense. So now as you lower your feet down, you're going to move your feet to each other so they connect side by side. And then turn the knees, let the knees splay out, and let the soles of the feet kind of nestle together in reclining cobbler's pose. And maintain the awareness of the belt being gripped upon and the selection of the waist narrowing. Okay, so as we start to add some weight to the ribs, you'll let go of your belt. You might set it so it's easy to get a hold of in a moment, maybe right over your head, touching on the blankets. And then add your sand or weighted bag across the intersection of the rib cage, right at the base of the sternum. And the belly hollows, may feel like they're just beginning to balance in the core of the body. So feel where there's an upper core, a mid core, a lower core, and then the pelvic floor, right? There's these cores, and then there's a pelvic floor awareness. Grab your belt again, and reaching your hands out quite wide this time. Kind of in a relaxed zone where maybe your arms are still on the blankets, and maybe you try to move them just on the borders of the blanket, so you hold the belt, and you can feel the value of the breath because you're maintaining the awareness and the circuitry in the arms, right, by holding the belt. So let's align our awareness with our breath, closing our eyes, resting the face, and feeling that quality of energy internally, whether it's slightly busy, rambunctious, scattered, whatever it might possibly be, or maybe you're very still and peaceful. If you can regenerate the emphasis on breathing for a count of 4 through nostrils and an exhalation of 5 out of your mouth. Feel where the motion is of the feet touching together. And if the back feels interrupted in feeling relaxation from having the feet together, knees out, you might work with opening the chest, which could mean let go of your belt and let the arms stand out on the floor. Without interruption, they just open, the back of the arms relaxes willingly, receiving your breath and emptying on the out breath. Scanning the sensation through the inner legs. We start to move our knees to point up, and then we reach the legs straight downward, so they extend and straighten. And the heels press, and I move my sand now down to the top of the thighs, so that if you happen to have a couple sandbags, you could add 2. One at the thigh, at the hip frame peak, and then down on the thigh lid. So you have to kind of start with the one lower and then add the second one. Otherwise you have kind of a pile-up problem. But where you press through the feet is important. So try to keep the heels reaching. Even if you kind of peek down at your toes, right? You might lift your nose and peek down and notice if the toes are up. If the toes are out, and really try to get the big toes together, just for principles of alignment here, which is reason enough. The tailbone probably feels like it kind of lets go a little bit from the last pose. Last pose narrowed the tailbone, then narrowed the SI joint, and this one kind of centers that space for where we're going. So, since we're not going anywhere yet, we're still here. You got to reach your hands together, interlace your fingers at the roots, and then turn the palms skyward. And feel when you push up firm with the arms. And then as you maintain that firm quality with legs, arms, and reaction to open up the rib cage, the intercostals, and also the lungs. Really stretch back overhead. Try to push through your palms, hands interlaced with the roots, and feel the energy move through the wrists. Press. Yeah, the pressing power is quite interesting. There's not many times of your day that you're going to contemplate this one. The potential of not being stepped on as feet and not being handling something as hands. You're using them as supporting your structure right now. So really narrowing your focus, moving the extremities away from the center of the body. Feel the arch design in your spine. It's like you're in this perfect elementary back bend. It's like the beginnings of feeling a back arch. Now relax the grip on the hands. Let the legs stay grippy. Open out the arms to a T shape, stretching out with the chest, wide. Relax your eyes. And any smile that you might have just from taking care of yourself here. Breathe it in and empty out. Slide the hands to at least get the sand off of your thighs. And then what we'll do is we'll take our belt and we'll slide both. Focus on first the left foot sliding in to touch down. Have the foot in a reasonable kind of market here where you can push down into the heel, right? Not just the ball of the foot, but the heel. So it might be set a little forward than you consider. And then as you slide the right heel in, you're actually going to lift the knee up. You're going to catch it with the belt, the knee. Not the foot right now. You might go for the foot in the beginning if you feel so footful. You can start with the knee, and I find just a little bit below the knee, around the shin, where I don't get to tug on pretty much ever. So it feels quite helpful for my back. So I'm keeping this pretty simple. If you prefer to get your foot in, you can. Not that if you can get it that you should do this. But you can lift up the right leg and push up as if you're trying to hold the ceiling up with your foot. So emphasize the back muscles of the right leg up. Okay, now if you lift that belt around the knee, we're all going to join that perspective in a few moments. Connect to the lower back. Okay, and then as we switch sides, we take the belt off the right side, and then we bring the left knee in, and you decide that at first, feel the pelvis. If essential awareness comes into the low back and you decide you would like to feel the connection in your hamstring, then simply reach down to the foot with your belt, or try the best you can to get that foot. One side is probably a different reach than the other. If it's your restricted side, feel around what is different and then work to balance out your instruction to yourself. So the foot goes straight up, or you stay with the knee towards the chest. Relax the back of the head. Feel the arms doing the work versus trying to lift your head up. Feel the arms pulling. Now, as you bend through the upper leg, and if you're already bending through the leg with your belt below the knee, we all meet at the same place where our feet are both down, and we're going to move our belt aside, but keep it nearby. Push down into your feet and shift your weight over slightly to move the block. After all this opening through lower core rib height, you're going to place the block now narrow between the knees, and then reach your arms back. Feel your feet push about 60% downwards and feel the pelvis upwards. Yep, slightly off the floor. And this may give you some momentum to get yourself forward and then progress up to sitting. Now, if you come up with your arms and you're a little worried about your neck, hold the back of your head when you come up. Okay, when you come up to where your back of your shoulder blades are on the bolster. All right, so when you reach your arms forwards, you're going to keep that motion up and then hold it where you're prior to lifting your whole body frame off the bolster. Scoot your feet as a unit together forwards. Squeeze into the block. And then as you move up, I want you to feel as you squeeze in, kind of that coalition of muscles, your muscle coalition here, is likely going to be grabbing around your leg muscles, your hip flexors, but the belly is what you really want to have your support network towards, okay? So what we'll do is we'll hold the legs, and you're going to use your arms to pull yourself up. This is important, using the arms. So when I lean back this time, I want you to use your arms to do these tiny core crunches. So you're going to lean back, you're going to try to keep the spine line, and then when you come up, breathe in, exhale, lean back. Still have a pretty nice grip on the thigh flesh. Inhale, pull up, and lean back. Okay, last time when you center yourself up, reach your arms forward so you're completely off of touching the bolster. Try to reach them just straight in front of the shoulders. Keep it real simple. Scoot the feet forward so you're likely to find a little more ascension with the spine this way. And then as you lean back, you're going to move the block aside. And as you set that aside, bring your elbows to your bolster and lift up the right leg and cross that foot to the left knee and slide the left foot closer to your bum. Okay, so give it a try where you're in this seated pigeon pose. So door one is you're in the pose this way, pressing down with your elbows, gently opening the chest. Door one. Stay with this one. Door two, you're going to try to sit up on your bolster, do the same thing, but this time you would hold below the left knee. Weave between the leg to get the space below the knee, and then see if you can actually fold forward. Emphasize targeting your right hip, so the other hip, but you're really emphasizing around the kind of the molecule space, really around side hip, deep grains of the hip. So here, or I prefer here because my body conditionally, my shoulders and my spine are doing their natural arch. And I can kind of contemplate a bit of how my knee moves open on the right leg. But that's just to make variety happen in the practice. Change it up. Same parts, different way of doing a pose, huh? Now, contrast and compare. Right foot down, switch sides. Left foot up and crosses to the right leg. If you're sitting on top of the bolster, you do the same cross and shift over. And notice in your vision if your thigh muscles kind of swing open differently. Okay, so you can always compare, like how does your right leg swing open compared to your left, now that we're on that, and where there could be some traction difficulties. So enable this position to be a focus. Maybe you're trying to keep the left knee open. You could try with your seat on your bolster, under that right knee, and you lean forwards. Sometimes a little of both of them is good medicine. And occasionally, you would really want to stay with the one when your elbows are on the bolster. So feel the weight of the spine moving forward, whether you're on your elbows or on the bolster, seated. So I'm trying to lean forward, let my left knee move out. And now as you uncross, windshield wiper the knees. Take a wide touch with your feet on your mat space, and knees are swinging side to side. If you do practice without like a mat, because restorative you don't necessarily have to have one at home if you're on a carpet. Just keep that in mind. You still want your stance of your feet a little bit to exactly hips distance, if not a little wider. You don't want it too narrow. And try to let the knees swivel side to side and catch motion in a way. So nothing is rock solid. Everything has some fluidity. Your body has so much of that interchange internally, the fluidity, that I think in yoga poses it's important to find fluidity. And with that structural shift, knees over to left. Now we're going to take side safe. So you want to have your sandbag and a ball or a block for the inside of the right knee. So you can place a ball or a block inside the right thigh. And you're going to lean your weight down to the bolster. If you choose to use weight, put it on now so it's on that external right hip. And then when you lean down with your arm on the floor, you're going to tuck in your blankets. Right? You might have a block overhead. You might decide that your arm is going to be a free agent and not have to touch down on something, and that's okay. So to start out, I would encourage you to bend through that left leg as if it's kind of hooking up to touch to the bolster, right? So it's close as it could be. Now that the waist is not the same as it was on the bolster a few moments ago, you're trying to work with a higher part of the rib cage and to select extending through the spine and the ribs. So feel the figure of the position. Feel opening with the right arm, feel reaching, and then find a resting place for the physical touchdown of the extremities. And then the essential nature of your breathing, guided by letting go. So it could be a situation where your inhale is maybe shallow to start sometimes. And then when you deepen it, that can be very relaxing. So trying to take the edge off and soothe our nervous system through the practice. You have to do a restorative yoga all day today, a 24-hour practice. You could use it. So elongate the side. Almost feels too good to be true that you can get this side beam to lengthen. So if your head is feeling tension building in the upper part of the neck, around the ears, really around the brainstem and then widening, you might find letting your head actually lean into the blankets. Like you're almost pushing your head into the blankets to stretch the core body, but not tighten your neck. So eyes can be closed. You decide. With that right arm gaining traction for your shoulder, it's almost as if you're here in this pattern and there's an end range with your arm, with your shoulder, but the rib range, right, feels like there's a vibration with the breath, and it sort of can move a little farther. It doesn't have this hard restriction like a shoulder, like a joint would. Right? Since there aren't any of those in the space in the intercostals. Okay? So what we'll do is we'll let the weight shift off of our hip. Maybe you have to take it off. And then give some direction to that right arm. If you can use these moments of transition to feel the circulation in the in the joint, fluidity. You could move your arm so it stretches open and wide, or you could just let the arm dangle itself down to touching down. And then as you turn, I want you to take we'll call this one a false twist. So it's a prep for when we do our seated work. So you're going to move the ball or block away from the leg. And then when you have your setting of your props, place your hands between the bolster and blankets and feel the waist twist in this directionally to prone twist. Right? So I'm turning the waistband and feeling the land of the low back of the waist. Notice where there's friction. Notice where there's a continual ease, right? You can almost kind of shimmy your shoulders in this kind of twist. It's not a very hard edge twist when you're in a prone position. Okay, so let's take a moment where we notice the direction here with the waist. Feel that, it's still toning through the spine because our hands are down. Now, as you bring your right hand up on the bolster, or you just get both of them up, you're going to use your hands to help guide your hips up on top of your bolster, okay? And then when you sit center, I want you to swing the right leg open, and then add a block or ball below the left knee. Right, so it could be either. The block might be better for some of you, even if you have both of the objects because of its height. So I want you to have some support below the left knee, and then we'll take a sand bag on the top of that left thigh, and we'll get a belt and place that under the right foot. Okay, so follow this awareness. We have our belt. We're going to bend the right knee to get a hold of the foot. And then when you push out with your right leg, okay, we're going to hold on and grab onto the belt. Actually, what I want us to do is make a little bit of a loop here. It doesn't have to be tight, but I want you to hook that loop on the foot, which is probably already set up for that, isn't it? So that you have a longer belt. Okay, so bring the belt around your back, so it's around to your left hip. And then now go back on to hold the belt with the right hand as we initiate it. And then you'll feel your shoulder kind of slope. So with the shoulder slope design, we'll reach our right or left arm, sorry, behind the back, and we'll pull with the right arm. And we'll resist getting any neck pull. So we might turn our face down towards the right leg, but feeling that necessary interaction in the back waist. Really feeling the lower back quadrant of your waist, the right arm tone, and breathe deep. Exhale, slow. Feel where the waist is sending circulation. Does it stay kind of tripped up in one spot? It's a pretty protective zone, right? The organs in the front, the kidneys, the back zone, all these muscles that make it connecting into the pelvis. So they probably stay a little garnered here. So I want you to try to work with lifting the left arm open. It doesn't have to be up, but open. And then follow the energy through that arm that works for you. Give it a few moments before we come up. Feel the left arm tracking over the side of the face or stretching open with the left arm. Breathe. Okay, now we're going to lower down the left arm behind us, and then as you come up, what I want us to do is to take that hold of the belt with the left hand, so the belt is still connected to the right foot, and then reach your right hand for the left knee, and feel the body turning now through. Now your left knee may not be touching down on the prop at this point. You might be holding it, so it's actually starting to stimulate the strength in that right side of the spine by holding that left knee. So when you hold the belt with the left arm, be sensitive to your shoulders. So some of us might get it closer to home and turn so this chest span moves open, not just with the shoulder, but with the chest. So make sense of it for you, which might mean the arm is closer. Okay, and feel your head turn. Any little neck motions that seem suitable for you are okay. Just keep it simple. Sometimes the best is to work on sitting upright, but necks can always use a little bit of tugging and motion, especially when you're holding your poise like this. It's like setting the neck for a decent stretch if you tilt your ear towards the shoulder. And we'll keep working with that for the shoulder and the neck. So let go of your belt, okay? And then let's slide our right foot straight forward on the mat, and then as your left leg, or not the mat, the left leg crosses over the right, and I take my sand to the side. It's not on me anymore. And my left knee is pointed up. Sort of, isn't it? If it was the foot next to my leg, it would be crossing the joint. So I want to feel my right foot flexing, lift up my ribs, and then you might have your block behind you. Get it close enough so you have good poise with it. But hook the right elbow outside that left leg and twist. Door one is the right leg straight with the left hip and the waist turning into the stretch, twist. And since the focus really here is that rotation of the torso, but the twists are really good for getting the organs, the organs tone. So if the leg straight doesn't work for you, you could bend your right leg and you might feel a deeper twist in the lower organs, right? And my leg is straight. It's a little more shoulder, ribs, back, circulation. A little belly, right? But if I'm trying to get all that air out of the belly and really feel that circulation in my organs, or at least I know that it's getting the organs some tone and circulation, I might bend both knees. And then I want you to take a counter twist. So whatever the leg fashion is, straight or bent with your right leg. Turn to the other side. And so when you turn right, your left arm inside the left leg, right hand back on block or blankets, and feel the turn through the belly. And really let the sensation be where you feel the rotation of the torso, the reaction in the waist. The pelvis is really centered. It's not really going to be part of your rotation. It's stabilizing. So keep that pelvis stable. We're moving from the pelvic stable and then turning. Wring out the flesh. Now, as you feel the arm stretch, the right arm, this is a good one to notice the dynamics of the flesh of the arm, like that meridian, the path through the arm, the heart meridian. Really feel that reach to the back arm. And then as you unwind, you're going to take both blocks with your forward hip stretch. So we'll uncross here, or it's still crossing, but if your right leg is straight, you're going to draw it in and you'll cross leg with the left leg forward of the right. And I want you to feel where the body weight sinks into the thigh. So you might add sand, multiple sandbags, or if you have one, use it on the left upper thigh. Lean forward with or without your blocks. Right? Feel where your hands are supporting that circulation through your low back of your waist. And if I lower down and I'm going to trick my spine into descending forward to stretch my hips, my left hip primarily. Keep it really simple, focus. So forward, hinging, brain down. Now with the ribs motioning and the belly with the breath. Try to fill the body like it's a container that you can actually fill up when you inhale. Let it be slow, experiential as well. So feel the constant pull internally with breath, the motion, the exhalations. Now with the emphasis here, so focus through the legs and the core section, we'll give two options. So first one, Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees out. But feel how this works for your body. Sometimes closed dictation doesn't work for the circuitry kind of expanding, right, in a helpful way. So for most of us, this will feel suitable. We can put blocks under the legs. We don't have to. We can put sand across our feet. We can lean forwards, okay? So door one is there. We still are going to stay with the same base of our seat on the bolster. That's the thing we'll all share in common. And then spatially, number two, you can take your belt, place it behind your back so you're holding onto it. Simply grab it and then stretch the hands so the palms face towards the front of the space, palms forwards. And then when you're reaching back, you're lifting up at the heart. Right, try to lift up the heart space and then tug on your belt with your hands. Tug, tug, tug. Heart, heart, heart. Tug, tug, tug. Okay, make sure your arms are low enough so your shoulders are back enough. And then tilt forward. Okay, and lift the arms back and up. This is the second option, I suppose. So you can always stay with the hands forward or your blocks under the legs. There's good selection here. And now if you're utilizing the belt, I want you to come back up center. Still knees are out and downwards. Okay? Grab the belt with your left hand. And I want you to take that hand up, let go of it with the right for the moment. Now bring the left arm so the elbow lifts up and the hand lowers down. So you're doing, it's almost like a tricep pump, right? But your belt is free. Okay. Now if you get the right hand to reach back to get the belt so it swings out and hooks behind you, your work is in pulling the belt with the right hand. Now, if the left elbow kind of moves outwards, I want you to try to point it upwards. Keep it so simple that you likely could do things a little bit out of line with it, but your tricep is stretching. So feel the left tricep full, warm, elevated. Okay, switch sides with that arm gesture. So right hand lifts to hold the belt, elbow by the side. Left hand grabs a hold behind you to attempt to tug on that belt with the left hand, stretch the right elbow up. It's worth practicing this support for your rotator cuff. So when we're into this posture, Dhammapada, we're focusing on strengthening the rotator cuff, working on the circulation, but most importantly, feeling the value here of awareness in this complex joint, the shoulder joint. So pull with the left hand, lift with the right elbow, try to get it close to you and pointing up. Pointy tip of the elbow up. Okay, now let go with your right and left hand, Velcro goes away. We're gonna slide the sand aside for the moment. We're gonna scoot our feet forward into Kurmasana and slide the hands down. And as you lower down into this position, you're trying to get your palms to touch towards the feet, so right to the front of the ankles. Feel the heels touching and feel the spine in its rounded shape in sleeping tortoise, Kurmasana. Kurmi pose. Okay. Feel that circulation dynamic in the hip. What hip is prevalent here? Now as the hands are down and you slither out of that one, you're going to slide back with your hands on the bolster, sit in front of it, and then let's take side sage with the right hip downwards and the left side opening. So we're going to turn to our other side, right hip down. You might use the block or the ball on the inside of the left leg. Remember, block would be fine. How would I use it? I put it on low height, and I'll slide it up so it's inside the left leg. Okay, and as I lean into it, I kind of lift up my waist to stretch over, and then grab a block overhead, perhaps, not for everybody, but most might like that. And then notice the knees here. If there's a little iffiness in your knee, spend some energy focusing on what could you do to loosen that up. I don't want you to feel your nervous system feeling something that's painful. It's essentially that you can't let go of in the pose. So spend some focus on reaching, elongating, relaxing your thoughts. Yeah, noticing the present. And then when you're reaching, how does the waist feel as the moments of that left arm extend back? Yeah, if your arm is not functioning in that pattern of, oh, I can reach it back, it's so easy, you might be better with the arm beside you, your head turning down into the blankets. It's fairly individual on the note for that one, but noticing where the waist stretches. So let's try to let it be very individual here. Slow down and move. Now with the waist sensation, feels pretty nice to be in this pattern for elongation of the intercostals. So as we're opening up that space and basically reorganizing the spaces we breathe into and out of, we're going to slide the sand away and turn to your right. And if you have a blocker ball, you might push that a little bit over to the side. And you turn with your hands on the floor between the props. Okay. So be rather kind of emphasize how the turn is to the rib cage. Remember, the pelvis is vulnerable, right? The SI joint is vulnerable. So we want that to be a joint of stability, but we are moving the torso all together with the pelvis. So we don't want to hold one spot back and try to grip further into the joint. So we're trying to feel it all move together. Right, kind of suppleness of back. So feel where your hands are touching. Maybe let your eyes close, and so that you can really emphasize the awareness inside. Personalize it a little bit. Now, as the hips center back, you're going to bring your hands up onto the bolster, and then Simple, turn forward. We're following the programming here for circulation of the torso and the respiratory tract. So when we come up to sitting, we'll pull the right foot in to bend that right knee and the left leg will stand open. And then add a block or a ball under the right leg and add a sandbagger weight to the top of the right thigh. And carry on with it. You'll take your belt. I think the idea with the loop just is helpful, right? So you just feel like you've got more control for your arm and your waist, right? It's not restricted. So you could have the belt simply wherever it ends up in the first part of the set, right? So I have my left hand holding, reaching with my arm and my waist down to the left leg. And I'm going to turn the ribs to the right, lift and rotate, and then move the right arm over the side of the face. Feel the reach, especially if moments occur in your practice and you're not so sure how important it is, right? You'll notice, blend my focus back into the present. Feel the perspective internally that I could only get from a practice. So go on and carry that reach with the right arm and turn the ribs. Feel the reaction with the upper arm. You might take it behind your back and then turn your gaze down to the left leg so that you might feel the right side of the waist. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? If even all the way up to your brainstem and it's a limb, right? In some ways you think of extremities as arms and legs, but limb, brain. And then when you pull downwards, you can feel that limb reaching and the mind centering. Part of that is the determination to follow through with the practice, right? You're determined to do a little bit of it. Now keep it simple. We'll come up, we'll slide the belt to the back of the left hip, so we'll make sure there's enough length back there. And we'll hold it with the right hand. Trade arm focus. Hold onto the belt with the right arm. Reach for your right leg with your left hand. And one side could be a whole different reaching game, right? When I reach this side, I don't get my knee. Part of it's a waist length. So try to work with as balanced as you can. Maybe it's something in the top of you that's restricted, not the bottom. So it all matters. And then move the right arm back and keep working on twisting. This is a really intense core session right now with the twists and the constant rotation. So feel the bones rotate. Breathe. Yeah, try to get that right shoulder back towards the blade. Now, as you let go of the belt, okay, you might kind of stay with this. Slide the left foot in, cross the right leg over, to the right foot over. Make your sand go away, and then carry on with that twist. So my left arm is on the outer side of that right leg. My right hand is probably going to go back to a block, so I keep the direction, right, with the rotation. Now I've sustained along the twist for my spine and the network of your kidneys, right, in the low back of the waist. So be sure that if your block is there, it's in a suitable place that holds you up. You're not straining to get it. Now, those of you that want to go into a different track with it, you could cross the legs, right? So you seem to be in a regular crossing for a seated twist pose direction. You'll feel that it widens the hips. That's one thing that this will do. It's not as narrow. And so when you turn with that left arm outside the right leg, same, you might feel that you get a little bit more rotation, right? You really get to feel like an owl here. Okay, shoulders back, oh, maybe. Heart up, lift your chest. Breathe. Okay, now unwind, counter pose, right arm inside, right leg, left hand back, not quite done. Feel the waist turn. It is a different pose, right? So you'll feel the back flush of the shoulder. You might tilt your head side to side. You feel the energy in the back of your right shoulder strengthen, right? So almost as if we're going to help our bone density, we have to have feed our muscles. You have to build muscle to build bone. So having that resistance is helpful. Just try to maintain that. If it's not sane for you, remember you can tilt your head. You can come out. Okay, so let's start to move the block behind you. So you have it in the front, besides you. The knee moves open on that right leg. And then we take on our cross-legged forward fold. Okay, so this may have been taught to you at other times where you actually stack the legs and then put this right foot on the left knee. But we'll keep it so the hinge is free. There's no closing off and tightening at the joint cap, so we're leaning forwards. And maybe you put the blocks a little lower. Now keep in the focus that the farther down the upper body tilts, the progressive sensation in the hip. Yeah, that really does change it. Leaning forward, lowering down. Okay, so we'll keep it real simple here, how we're going to guide back. We're going to move into pigeon with the left hip as the focal point. So what you'll do is you'll move your blocks to the sides and you'll reach back to your blankets and tuck them in next to your bolster, right behind, right there. Push a blanket away. And then with distance behind you, kind of look at your distance. Do you have any mat? If you're going to use a mat for our down dog, those type of poses, you want to have a little sticky surface under your feet. So pushing yourself forward might be rather useful today. But we'll go left leg pigeon. So right leg stretches back, swings back. Left knee is open. And now as we lower down our elbows, you'll probably feel that you've now swung to the other hip, the last side. And allow the arms to be open. So you have a wide sense, almost as if you're in Sphinx pose with the elbows down. In fact, we'll do Sphinx pose here then. So feel your left knee open, feel the inner thigh awareness building. This is an awareness building practice. And then feel where your arms press down and lightly move up in the waist, right? This is a great back bend basic because that's your limit, right? However you can push down and lift up, you work from there. So let the ribs expand and contract just there. Try to stay with your seat pretty much glued to the bolster here. I don't know where else it's going to go anyway. Okay, energetically, when that right leg is back, hook the toes under on the right foot and lower the head down, lower your brain downwards. Spine relax. Okay, now when we come back, we shift our hands on back. I want you to place it so that the toes, as they hook under and you lift up at the core, you're going to come back with a shift in the leg and try to actually end up with this same basis for your arms. Yeah, they're still pushing you up, but the back energy is now going to be both legs are supporting you, reaching back, not just one leg back. So when you come up, I want you to hook the toes under on the right foot, pretty active, get the toes under, lift up the right knee, and then use your arms, co-contracting the upper arms, lift the left leg up and slide back so that you're into an up dog with the bolster under your thigh tops, supporting you. Try to keep the toes under. I suppose you could let the tops of the feet be here and still you get upper dog pointage, okay? Except for you have more pointy feet, pointer dog. Okay, so the toes are under, lift up through the chest. Just let the legs rest onto the bolster. Yeah, what builds up? Maybe your wrists are starting to feel this energetically. And then as you start to motion back, I want you to lift up your hips, push back to what you consider a down dog, but have the feet just hip distance, no wider. Keep it on the narrow track here. So, lift up the heels like you're about ready to spring up, and then lower them back. And see if you can pedal out your legs so that you might get some stretch in your feet and your calves. And really work through your ankles and the flesh of the foot. Kind of roll through it. This is your opportunity, right, to roll out the foot flesh. It's not quite the same when you're standing upright with your body weight all the way into your feet, because now it's halfway, right, hands, arms, and feet. So give it another about 15 seconds till you feel like you've had enough of it, if you haven't already. And then as you start to reach your knees to bending, lower them down. Did you find a blanket there? Okay. Round your back into cat. Chin to chest. You learn this pose with maturity, I think. Okay, now as you arch the back, right, feel the arch through the spine. I want you to start to move your hips back and then get the bolster, push it forward, handle the bolster so your hands are on. It's a hands-on pose. Forehead downwards. If this is too much stretch in your arms, place a block or the other blanket under your forehead, or your sandbag actually. Those all work. So I'm going to put a block under my forehead and then feel the reach of the arms. Give it a few moments. Forehead doesn't have to be on anything, but it might feel structurally pretty helpful. Feel the reach. Okay, now what we're going to do is come up with our block. So block is the only item that will work for this. So I want you to have your block between your hands and then scoot your bolster in substantially, maybe for some of us, so that our elbows can be on it. Okay, our hands are holding our block wide. Now, as you lift up your arms and you lower down your forehead, maybe on the bolster or just in front of the bolster, you're going to try to move your elbows down and your block back. Keep it real simple. So elbows down, block back. Tricep stretch. All right, really feel that feature of the back of the arms elongating. Feel the hands pressing. And then when you come back up, I like to always do something with coordination. So when you come back up, we put our block down, and we'll reach our hands on the floor next to the bolster, closer to your legs than the other side, and push the bolster forward enough so that you'll find out. Okay. Right hand on bolster, so if it's not far enough forward, you might scoot it so you actually feel you're reaching. Left leg back and up, so lift up the leg. Okay, now, as you switch sides, left knee down, right hand down, left hand up, right leg up behind you. Okay, feel this alternating project. So it's pretty plain at first. I reach an opposite arm and an opposite leg, and I've got the bolster under my hand. Start. So feel if you can keep the brain centered so you're looking down, maybe even closing your eyes just so you can scan the muscle memory of alternating arm and leg. Just kind of feel the way through. However many times you go with this, I want you to spend a moment noticing the inner line of the elbows points forwards. So it's like the eye of the elbow pointing towards the front. Okay, last time, it's kind of a slow, energetic reach. Okay, last time, this time we're going to turn our bolster lengthwise, and we're going to lift up our knees to down dog, but you want to be able to get your forehead on your bolster if possible. So you might be putting a block under your bolster edge. You might not want the block, but when you lift up your knees and you set your forehead to the bolster, if your jaw is tightening, you don't need your block, right? So you take it away and still work on that process of stretching down your forehead to the block, the bolster. Okay. So feel your hips reach back. Feel the sitting bones lift. Now bend your knees and set your feet out a little wider than hips distance and walk your feet back to them. Okay. Be in a forward fold. If this pose doesn't work for you, keep in mind what you can also do is have your hands on your bolster here. Head center. Okay? You can also be in child's pose if you don't want to invert and bring your head down below heart this way. So when I have my legs in a wide stance about hips distance, sorry, you're going to let your spine track down and hold your elbows and feel when you hold them that you can swing side to side. So make the legs straight as they can go, but feel that upper body jostling and going side to side, massaging through the legs and then through the spine. Now start to draw figure eights in space. So you hold the elbows and then motioning the waist, tractioning the arms. And then feel when you're holding the body in a forward fold, and then feel when you let go of holding. So let's say you can comfortably reach downwards to something. It's like you have something under you. You might take your feet out a little wider, and you might take your feet in a little closer. So play with it, try to straighten the legs, let your spine stretch. So that means the weight of the head stretches the back. Breathe. Feel the belly and the waist connecting, and the belly and the waist and the thighs going towards connection. Okay, now with the arms free of holding on, we'll use them to scatter forward. So scatter the hands, the arms forwards, walk them out front. And then as you scoot down into your knees, you're going to take a step forward with the left foot to the top left corner of your mat. So the foot is turned out. So my right thigh is that branch of the thigh is on the bolster. So you can have blocks under your hands. You can put your elbows on your bolster here. You can keep the arms toned, but feel the front of the right thigh and the inner left thigh. It's certainly a hip peak, right? The top of the thighs connecting into the hips are warmed up here. So this kind of final set is going to do quite a bit of energy spiraling through the connectors, right? The waist, the hips, the legs. So let it just happen. Try to trust in the sequence sometimes. Sometimes they don't make sense, but occasionally we follow the guidelines here. So with the top of the back foot in a relative rest, not forcing, but it feels like it's touching down on the top of the foot, so there's some energy pushing. Use the breath to motion the ribs forward, so use the breath as a stretching tool. Even if you don't have blocks under your hands. Blocks are nice under the hands because they bring the floor up to you and you feel a little bit taller. They do have that kind of artificial sense, but it's good to notice what you have. Okay, now when you switch the sides, you're going to get the hands so they really are underneath your shoulders, and then transfer the hip on that right side, pressing back, and then slide the left knee back besides the right. Step the right foot to the top right corner, and then lean down with the left thigh. Now we haven't done pigeon with this hip yet, so this right leg inner thigh might be slightly tangled up comparatively. So work the energy through the front of the left thigh. Of course you could fuss with moving the back knee down, the foot up, that type of recentering in the joint. But sometimes the most basic is advanced, right? Beginning is the new advanced. Or it's gentle is the new advanced, is the kind of a conversation going on with yoga. Kind of the subtleties, go a little deeper. So feel where the top of that back thigh is centering. And try to feel where you can kind of push into the bolster with it. Yeah, the blocks are nice to have, but if there's anything inside that you notice is getting a little bit kind of spiky in parts of the body or doesn't feel right, checking out what will help it feel better. Maybe lowering your impression of the pose, breathing slower, centering the mind. Now as you move back, we're going to move the bolster here. So you're going to shift the hips back up to neutral. And then take the bolster, turn it. You might have to be a little bit of a sleuth on this one. So you got to turn the bolster across your mat horizontal. You're going to walk your right foot in toe heel to the left side of your mat. And then embrace that bolster with the right thigh. Okay. It's a thigh embrace, isn't it? Okay. Now, it's not a race to embrace, but you're going to feel, that's like the future, the race to embrace again. Huh? What will that be? If it will. So when you feel your knee move open, do you get the sense of your low back stretch, or is it really all like pelvis, hips? It's pretty rampant in that zone. So when you lean down, I think blocks or blanket is helpful too. You can grab your blanket and use that under your arms. Blocks are nice, floor is fine for some people, they can advance to that level. But feel where the hip is opening, and feel where the spine is neutral. It's not really reaching too much right now. It's not having a difficult whirl of it. It's centering from the back of the pelvis. You're kind of lifting forward from the pelvic basin. Pretty cool. Even if it's just so-so, sometimes this is good medicine for our joints, our circulation. Now the back leg is going to be as close and center as it can. So if you're starting to let it wander out, try to get more into the midline. How midline can you go? Now when the hips stretch back, you'll let the weight start to lean to that left thigh. And calculate this one. Try to be a little calculated on this. I'll give you a visual of where we're going to go with it, and then you might go with your own creative wave of movement. So since we're not observing each other in the classroom, it's kind of nice to have your own space to travel with this. If you're back at your mat space now. Okay. So what we're going to work on is balancing from right to left hip, and we're going to be inverted with our pelvis on the bolster on our backs. So how we get there is up to you, right? But it seems rather obvious. I could sit on my right cheek, right on my right butt, and I can bring the left leg around, and as I come up, I want to place my seat on the bolster, my block between the knees, or a ball. Object orientation up to you. Move your blankie back, center your seat, and then make sure that as much of your back of your pelvis is on the bolster as possible. So that means use it, use up the whole bolster. Now when I try to squish it, I'm going to lower back, get my blanket in under my head, and then as I lift up my knees and my feet, of course, because that's more important to get them off the ground. And then as I lift up, whether you have your block or your asteroid for today, that's a good one. Okay, arms open. Okay, stretch out with the wings, and feel when you lift up your feet, and you're going to tilt your knees to the right side. You're going to tilt your lower frame to the right and feel the waist rotate. Head turns a little to the left would be nice, but you're not required to. You could have your head centered looking up. Okay, now simply you're just holding onto the ball or block. You don't have to squeeze it if you don't want to, okay? But when you hold onto it with the leg muscles, there is some type of pushing into it to move in, to hold it. So shift to the other side. Head turns to the right. Knees to the left. And then keep going with this for a couple more times each side. So it has an experience of its own. It has some muscle memory. You don't likely have to judge it or guide it or calculate its movement. It will happen because you're on your back and you've got something between the knees and you're leaning side to side, so it just kind of happens. When you are squeezing into the ball, when you come back in center, okay, now I want you to squeeze into the ball or the block. You're squeezing in. It's a squeeze in. All right, now as I move the ball object away from between the knees, I'm going to add a sandbag, not between the knees. That would be a lost cause, huh? So let's take it and place it on the belly so it's even. This is a good even platform. Across my belly. Okay. Now as I scoop my knees in, I'm going to lift up the sand and see if I can kind of slap it on over so it's at the bottoms of the feet. And then when I hold on, if you have handles on yours, you might feel a little resistance to start. If not, no worry. You just let the foot go up. Well, all of us have the feet go up. Anyhow, let go of the belt, the straps on the sand if you have that, and flex your feet. Okay. Now, work on the legs being straight versus any real rebound in your knees. Try to be straight with the legs. Feel where the feet flex. Okay, feel the energy through the back of the legs. And then actively move your shoulders back and then down. Now back is easier than going down with the shoulders here. You're already on your back. That's easy. You know what back is. But Moving them down might be challenging, so you might squeeze your elbows a little closer into your sides. Just feel them naturally move in so the ribs pop up. And then find a simple few moments here. If you have an eye pillow, this might be a nice one to use that on so that you can actually calm the nervous system, right? Because that is useful along with your breathing, along with closing your eyes, but keeping the category in mind that when you have something over the eyes, it sets off a reflex, right, in the brain to lower the heart rate. So just the idea of a little bit of darkness without the eyes open is helpful. And now be willing to let the feet stay flexing. The legs, the ankles, the arches. Feel the willingness to stay. It's a patience project, like, okay, I'm willing to stay with this. Just gonna stay a little longer and see what transforms. And maybe all that does is that you're actually giving the body time to move the blood from the extremities to the vital organs. So that's part of inversions, is that you need time to yield the benefits, is that you have to spend that time to actually regenerate. It's not in the snap of the fingers. So feel what it's like when the feet move a little bit over belly, then the pelvis and the tailbone press down. Now try to feel the tailbone press down, the legs move a little bit back towards you. So it's not quite entirely vertical. And then I want you to move the feet back to what you think is vertical, to that sweet spot for the belly collection, right? Where you feel a little bit of stimulus and circulation in the belly muscles. And then move the feet a little bit forwards. Yeah, they're going from 90 degrees, but a tiny bit forward. We have sand on them. And you've got a bolster on your pelvis, so it will be a little more comfortable for your back. Now bend your knees. Be mindful of your knee experience. So as you draw the thighs towards you, you can place the sand on the back of the thighs for the hamstrings. And for many of us, it might be a really mild stretch on the back of the legs, but the nice thing is that it is compressing the legs into the organs so that you have that massage, that toning, and that's just about compression, like we did on twists. It's compression and circulation that squeeze and soak of the organs. Okay, now as we move the sand aside, yeah, let the legs kick out, have a little leg tantrum for a moment, why not? Shake them out. Okay, so notice what is the shakier one, what has a more fluid ankle. Got to be one ankle that's fluid and one that's kind of rigid, probably with history in ankles, it's part of it, isn't it? So when you bend your knees and you hinge at all joints, you're going to push your bolster forwards with care and consideration here. Feel your feet on the bolster. Hands reach to the bolster so you can barely touch it. And then palms open. Push down. Lift up the hips so the thigh lids stretch. Stretch all the way to the front of the thighs. Contract in the glutes, the buttock muscles, but get a feel here where, how can you get your thigh front to stretch? Okay, with the bolster under your feet, it adds to that. Now, move the blanket away from under your head, so there's not as much compression in the cervical vertebrae, and then feel the shoulders press down. Okay, the back muscles, if you were to reach up with your fingers and touch your back, you'll feel that it strengthens your back right away. It's a pretty magical strengthener for our back muscles, and then to open up the hips. the front of the hip flexors. Yeah, there's not many ways you can do it but this. Okay. So I want you to lift and lower, and this one will be a little free play. So those that have a ball, you're gonna reach for the ball and you're gonna place it under the right glute, and then let the weight of your body smush the ball first. Smush it. And then massage that zone of your buttock side to side by wagging the tail. Okay? If you don't have a ball, don't worry about it. Okay, your focus will be hips down, knees side to side, forever and ever. Okay, but go slow. So those are the ball or an object that you can mush on. If you do have a tennis ball, it will work okay for this one actually. So if you can find something that is a object that has, the nice thing for the ball is that these ones have a responsive structure. Right, surface is responsive, so it kind of allows you to grab into your connective tissue and massage it versus the tennis ball, just a little bit more tension. It's a tension ball, not a tennis ball. So go to the other glute, other buttock, and you can always roll a little bit to your side to massage into that glute. We're going to go into a hip crossover very soon, so try to get the buttock muscles a little stretched. Now, if you're not using a ball object, don't worry, keep the knees swiveling side to side, and then let the back, upper back rest. So the lower back and the waist and the hips are stretching. Now, those with the ball, we're going to move it away, and we're all going to meet with windshield wipers. Okay? If you've got items on the right side of your space, kind of move whatever's nearby your mat a little bit away. And then knees move over left, push the bolster to the right side. And then as you have your bolster straight on that side, we're going to cross the left leg over, tuck our blanket in under our hip. We didn't already do that. Add your ball to the sacrum. If you don't have a ball, don't worry about it. The block is a little pointy for that. Okay, add a sandbag external left thigh and motion open with your left arm. Keep the sandbag version simple here. So not that we're trying to total the hip. We're trying to get the bolster far enough out to the right that you can stretch through your left thigh, back of the waist, upper ribs. Feel the ribs expand and contract. And just allow this little final part of the session to be exploratory as far as your breath advance internally. Feeling the connection of inhale, filtering the air in through the nose, and then on the exhalation, relaxing the breath out of the body. Let the breath sweep the lungs. Now, as you start to move the ball first, this way we all meet on the same plane here. So we're going to feel that left leg cross over. And then as you guide your sand aside, I want you to actually bring it to your body and bring your knees in center. And you can either apply the sand on the shins or the back of the legs, the hamstrings, like we did a little while ago. So you're going to bring your knees in, feel the knees hugging towards the chest, stretch through the lower back. Okay? If you have sandbag loops, you just slide your arms up through them and then relax your hands. So nice to have that support in the lower back. Get a feel for this for a few more seconds. Now, when we move the sand, we're going to be applying that to the hip. So I would put it up on your upper rib zone, you know, right below the sternum zone, so you can move your waist. And then if you can get your bolster in easy reach, you might use this one where you kick it over. Okay, kick it over to the left side. Do things differently on each side. If you can get that muscle out, I've done that one in a while, it's hard. So, right leg is bending, left leg straightening, over with the right leg to the bolster. And then add your sand and add your ball to the sacrum. Right, so that ball is going to be wedged right above the gluteal fold, so right the low back curve. And then fundamentally feel the opening of the right arm. Your head turns to the right side, and the ribs are spanning, widening, right? You're trying to really focus on still opening the ribs, opening the intercostals and the lungs, and widening the ribs and the breathing spaces. It's basic, essential restorative manner is this awareness. So feel where your head was turning here. Go back to that. Relax your throat. Open the heart. And now stand where your hip is in almost a comfortable spot right now. It's supported, the transfer of energy probably has started occurring into the joint to just get more space there, which helps the lower back. So it's all kind of that spatial support network. But when we start to move that sand just anywhere for this one, move the ball away and the knees in center, hug them into your chest. The legs, not just the back of the legs, but feeling what's comfortable for your knees, which might not be hugging the knees, but right the back of the legs. Now we're going to do a couple spinal rolls, so we'll kick the feet back and then up, and then roll the spine, kick the feet back, move up, and back, and through, and then as you sit your seat back, you're going to move a couple blocks to the front of your mat. I want you to have the blocks this time so that you have them at the second height. And then you'll make your bolster bench, okay? I want you to place it so that you also add in your blanket. And let's have the blanket so it's, actually let's have it flat. So it's a quarter fold versus a roll. This way you can get your feet together and knees out instead of, it's hard to coordinate that with a roll, isn't it? So I place my feet up, and I start with our feet together, knees out, and the blanket under head. Where you position your knees is replicating the position of your ribs, right? But if I have a sandbag across the ribs, across, horizontal, you really might find that the leg awareness is similar to the rib awareness in this moment. Okay. So we move our elbows open. We have our arms reaching back, so they might perhaps be on your blanket. It depends on your arm length, right? Your elbows might be on the other side. We're all unique with that experience, but what we share here in common is to collectively calm the brain and feel the resources that we receive from a practice. Yours may be different than the collective, but we do have a common vision to receive wellness, not just for ourselves, but for others. So use this as a practice to support outwards now. You can let the legs remain here. You likely are going to let the legs stretch forward and relax the space from the knee to the hip joint completely. So try to drain the fluid from the legs down into the core organs so they can get recycled, right? Circulation of fluid. To relax the feet so the heels feel like they kind of hover. Let the mind center. Breathe and empty the lungs. Feel expansive and contracting. Return the body to a place of balance, of peace. Just witness the movement of the belly and any waves of resistance. If you need to kind of reclaim where your arms go because of resistance, let the arms shift. And feel the back of the pelvis centered. Now with the arms supporting you, you'll move them back open, out to the sides. You'll move the feet together and the knees pointing out in cobbler's pose. You get a feel for the feet towards each other, but of course, as the pose kind of settles in, they sometimes slide, a tiny bit apart. So let that habit become reality, not having to change it. The habit of changing things, right? I guess then it's not a habit. But feel where the spine centers. And then really let that kind of super glue into your impression of your back. The spine centers. It's a long place center in your body as a spine. And as we take off our Sand-Aid, start to guide your knees to your ribs. So feel one at a time in, and they're still both apart. So it's like happy baby pose almost. And if you want to lift up your feet and hold onto them with your hands, that's perfect. You can let the body rock side to side, but feel space at your feet. Separate. And obviously the lower back might feel some spatial opening too. Let's hope that can stay for a bit. So feeling as you roll to one side and you catch yourself and use your hands to bring yourself to sitting. So feel kind of a spark of awareness just to come up as a collective together on a blanket or any pad you want underneath your seat. So feel cross-legged, the crossing that you're not used to doing is the ideal. And then we'll let our hands lay on our lap and the palms open. Now, even though this is moments, the tendency here is to roll forward. So if you have something nearby, you could put it to a little bit of height. So when your arms are resting on that zone, your shoulders aren't slumping forward, but they have something underneath the forearms. So feel shoulders, feel heart, feel the center of it. And then let your hands lift up and balance the thumbs to the touch of your heart space. Feel the brain and bowing the head down to heart center. Lining up the inside with the breath. And with that experience of inhale together, exhale, bowing into the space behind our hearts. In gratitude, namaste. Okay, thank you.